We all know about El Niño and La Niña, those famous climate patterns that make headlines. But what if I told you there are other, stranger, and more powerful weather cycles shaping our world in ways we're only just beginning to understand? These aren't your everyday weather reports. These are the hidden engines of our planet's climate, influencing everything from tiny local ecosystems to the grand sweep of human history and culture. Get ready to explore the obscure weather phenomena that operate just beyond our common knowledge, the secret cycles that can bring deluge, drought, and dramatic change to our doorstep. Let's start with a mind-bending concept: rivers in the sky. Imagine a long, narrow corridor of pure water vapor, thousands of kilometers long but only a few hundred wide, flowing high above our heads. This is an atmospheric river, and it's not just a trickle. A single, strong, atmospheric river can transport more water than the mighty Amazon River itself. When one of these celestial rivers makes landfall, it's like aiming a fire hose at a coastline. The result is often torrential rain and catastrophic flooding. Think of the historic floods that have swamped California or the Pacific Northwest. Many of these are the direct result of an atmospheric river, a concentrated stream of moisture from the tropics, slamming into coastal mountains and unleashing its entire payload. But they don't just bring rain. When these rivers hit colder regions, they dump feet, sometimes even tens of feet, of snow in a very short time, a phenomenon known as snowmageddon. This can bury entire towns and cause widespread disruption. Scientists are now using satellites and advanced weather models to track these rivers in the sky, trying to predict their paths and intensity. Understanding them is critical, as they are a double-edged sword. They can bust droughts and replenish vital snowpack that supplies water to millions, but they can also bring destruction on an epic scale. They are a perfect example of nature's raw power, flowing in unseen currents above us. From too much water, let's turn to the terrifying reality of not enough, and in ways that are far more dangerous than a simple dry spell. We need to talk about heat. Not just the temperature you see on the weather app, but a far more sinister threat: the wet bulb heat event. This is where the combination of extreme heat and high humidity becomes literally unsurvivable for humans. Our primary way of cooling down is by sweating. The sweat evaporates, taking heat with it. But when the air is already saturated with moisture, our sweat can't evaporate. Our bodies can no longer cool down, and our core temperature begins to rise uncontrollably. A wet bulb temperature of 35 degrees Celsius, or 95 degrees Fahrenheit, is considered the theoretical limit of human survival, even for a healthy person resting in the shade. Beyond this point, even with unlimited water, the body simply cannot shed heat fast enough, leading to organ failure and death within hours. We used to think these conditions were purely theoretical, a distant threat for a future, hotter world, but they are already happening. Parts of the Middle East and South Asia have already briefly crossed this deadly threshold. As global temperatures rise, these lethal heat and humidity combinations will become more frequent and widespread, posing an existential threat to millions of people living in vulnerable regions. This isn't just a heat wave, it's a fundamental challenge to human physiology. Now, let's look at another type of extreme dryness: the flash drought. We usually think of droughts as slow-moving disasters, creeping across the landscape over months or even years. But a flash drought is different. It's a drought unfettered. It can develop with shocking speed, sometimes in just a matter of weeks. The recipe for a flash drought is simple and brutal: a period of very low rainfall combined with abnormally high temperatures, strong winds, and lots of sunshine. These conditions create a powerful feedback loop. The heat and wind suck moisture out of the soil at an incredible rate. As the ground dries, it heats up even faster, which in turn intensifies the heat in the air above it, further reducing the chances of rain. For farmers, a flash drought can be an absolute nightmare. A field that looks healthy one week can be withered and brown just a few weeks later, with crops failing before there's even time to react. The 2012 flash drought in the central United States was a textbook example. It developed rapidly over the summer, causing billions of dollars in agricultural losses and becoming one of the most expensive natural disasters in U.S. history. Unlike slow droughts, which allow time for planning and mitigation, flash droughts hit with the suddenness of a flood or a hurricane, catching communities completely off guard and highlighting the frightening new speeds at which climate can change. Beyond these rapid-fire events, our planet also operates on much longer times. These are the slow, deep breaths of the ocean and atmosphere, cycles that play out not over days or weeks, but over decades. One of the most important of these is the Atlantic Multi-Decadal Oscillation, or AMO, as its name suggests. This is a pattern centered in the Atlantic Ocean. It describes a slow-moving, seesaw-like shift in sea surface temperatures across the entire North Atlantic, a cycle that can last for 60 to 80 years. For about 30 or 40 years, the North Atlantic will be in a warm phase, with sea surface temperatures generally above average. Then, it will flip into a cool phase for the next few decades. We've been in a warm phase of the AMO since the mid-1990s. So what does that mean? Well, a warmer Atlantic provides more fuel for hurricanes. Scientists have linked the warm phase of the EMO to an increase in the frequency and intensity of major hurricanes hitting the United States and the Caribbean. It's not the only factor, but it sets the stage, creating a more favorable environment for storms to spin up and strengthen. The EMO doesn't just affect hurricanes, it also influences rainfall patterns across the globe. A warm EMO can lead to more rainfall in the Sahel region of Africa and northeast Brazil, while bringing drier conditions to the American Midwest. These long, slow cycles are like the deep baseline of our climate system, subtly shaping regional weather patterns for generations. Understanding these grand oscillations is like finding a hidden instruction manual for our planet. It helps us see the bigger picture. To understand why we might be in a 30-year period of more active hurricane seasons, or why a certain region might be experiencing a prolonged wet or dry spell, it adds a crucial layer of context to our understanding of climate, reminding us that change happens across many different timescales, from the flash of a sudden drought to the slow, deliberate rhythm of an ocean basin warming and cooling over a human lifetime. The challenge for scientists is to untangle these natural cycles from the long-term warming trend caused by human activity, so we can better prepare for the future. So from rivers of moisture flowing in the sky, to deadly heat that our bodies can't handle, and from droughts that appear in a flash, to ocean cycles that last for decades, it's clear that the world of weather is far more complex and fascinating than we often realize. These are not just scientific curiosities, they are powerful forces that have real-world impacts on our lives, our food supply, our safety, and our economies. As our climate continues to change, these rare and extreme phenomena may become more common, more intense, and more unpredictable. Ignoring them is not an option. By shining a light on these obscure cycles, we can better understand the risks we face. This knowledge is the first and most crucial step toward building more resilient communities. It allows us to improve our forecasting, to develop better early warning systems, and to create infrastructure that can withstand the extremes of tomorrow's weather. The Earth is speaking to us in the language of wind, water, and heat. The more we learn to listen to its quieter, stranger dialects, the better prepared we will be for whatever comes next. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this journey into the hidden world of weather fascinating, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the science that shapes our world. Stay curious, and we'll see you in the next video.